Welcome to Lou TV. No Andrew Cass today, just Zach Tao from, what's your website called again? I'm just going to mess it up, so just hit me with the website name now.
collegefantasyfootballnews.com.
See, I just type in college and it's already there for me. I
There
don't
you
have to
go.
worry about it. That's the whole refreshing remember logic with the MacBook here. What's up, everybody? I don't know what to think. I've had a long day. A nice long research day. All the other days I've had that are long are like long, frustrating work days. Today's a nice stacked my brain with tons of info and stats. You've been working today. Have you had a chance to really hit the grind on the fancy research for the weekend?
I've done more research for these two elite slates more than anything. I've looked a little bit into the Saturday games, but these elite slates is really what I've spent the time on.
Yeah, I'm 12 lineups in deep into Saturday's action, so I'm kind
Nice.
of overdone. I need to wake up tomorrow and just hit the refresh button, especially since this Gunnar Kiel thing. I didn't realize his injury was. I knew he was obviously probable or questionable, but I didn't really think it was as serious as he might not play. But Munchie Legault would probably haunt my dreams here if Gunnar Kiel doesn't play. Anyways, we have some really good slates, like I've tweeted about. We've got the UCLA Cal game, we got the Baylor West Virginia game, the Texas Tech Kansas game. Awesome offensive matchups for those teams that are very good. We don't have the Boise State game, which I'm wondering if you pissed off Grant and he didn't want to
Maybe I
include
did.
it. Maybe he's decided we've hit our max on Boise State talking for the season. And then we have my Virginia Tech Hokies who play at Pitt at Heinz Field tomorrow, which should honestly pose some value. I think there's some value to be had there in a game that should be kind of intriguing. I think that the total is going to be pretty low, but I think there's going to be some value there for us as opposed to these other teams where the best players are obviously going to be priced appropriately. Let's get to this first slate of action. Before I do that, though, real quick, if we can get to 75 viewers, man, we're going to give away 5 T-shirts. Doesn't look like we're going to hit that number. We're in the 30s right now. We've gotten it in the 60s.
Because Andrew's not here.
It's because Andrew's not here. Andrew has a whole squad of people.
Yeah.
Maybe his fiance brings him along or something. But
He must call everybody he knows and say, "Hey man, I'm going on tonight. Go watch."
or he sabotages us by telling people, "Look, I'm not on tonight, so you don't need to watch."
We're not having a show tonight. Yeah.
We're not doing it. The other day on Saturday morning was great. He was right before, at 9:20, or let's say, I think we started at 10 or 10:30, and it was 1 minute before. He's like, "Dude, do I have enough time to get coffee?" I'm like, I know you're hungover, so just go get coffee. Just go do it. And so
Nice.
ended up being a fun little show there for us. First slate, the CFB 10/16 Prime 1. We
Right.
have, thank God Andrew's not here because he'd be all over Jake Waters at quarterback. I like Jake Waters. He's got an interesting, the whole noon on the road thing was always scary for me because I've been hurt by some Big 12 quarterbacks in the same situations. But if you're looking at this slate of action with this quarterbacks, which guys are you targeting the most here? You looking at Trickett? You looking at C.J. Brown, Jake Waters? What kind of guys are you targeting the most here?
Yeah, Trickett. I really like his price at 18.5. I would expect that game to be a shootout. Maybe not like the TCU Baylor game, but I could see both teams scoring maybe in the 40s. But other than Trickett, I'm not sold on Waters on the road. Like you said, a noon start. I don't like him. C.J. Brown's intriguing, but the problem is he might get hurt by halftime. And it has this backup. Was it Caleb Rowe? He's priced at 11K. What does that tell you?
It tells you he's done well, and I think Fantasy Elite knows it.
Right.
Knows the injury issues.
Right. So, honestly, man, I like Michael Brewer just as the value play, really just so I could fit in maybe some of these receivers that are in this slate. But Trickett would be, I think, my number one guy.
I'm with you. I think Trickett's probably the number one guy for me just because he's at 18K. I like Jake Waters. I think Oklahoma's pass defense has struggled recently. They gave up a bunch of fantasy points to Tyrone Swoops, a guy who's not good. Tyrone Swoops.
Maybe he's turned the corner, man. How do you know that maybe he's doing that from here on out?
I hope he's turned the corner, but I mean, to think that Jake Waters can't reproduce what he's produced or what he did against Oklahoma would be kind of silly. But 21K, so I'll go trick it over Waters. I do like Waters. He's included in my rankings this week. Tyrone Swoops through for like 360 yards, 50 rushing yards, bunch of touchdowns, and I think Jake Waters. He has some good numbers at noon. I think his completion percentage is pretty solid, but honestly, he's not one of those high yardage guys for passing.
Right.
So it's not like he's affected in that manner. He's more of that, gets those value points from, or that value from running. And he had 4 passing touchdowns last game, so maybe he's going to get that confidence to move it up. Obviously nothing really needs to be said about Trickett in the high-scoring game. A bunch of good receivers and a West Virginia guy on here, Ruck Daddy, is going to be at the game, and he says the only way this game stays close really is if they pass it a lot, and that means Trickett. He doesn't think that Shell and Smallwood will both score more than 2 touchdowns. So you got to think Trickett's the guy there.
Yeah.
C.J. Brown, like you said, the health is an issue. Brewer against Pitt, the scoring is going to be low, so I can understand the 12K though. Because
that's mainly the reason. Like I'm not a Brewer fan by any means, but I think it was a 12K, almost 12K. Yeah, I mean, just take Brewer as your second quarterback and then go get you that receiver that you wanted to shell out the price for, Because if you sit here and take Waters or try to get Waters and Trickett, what are you going to do at receiver?
A lot of good receivers, man.
Yeah, there are a lot
of good receivers. We can get to them in a second here, but man, some of these guys are underpriced, and I love receivers. So I would say, with that being said, that Michael Brewer at 12K really works. Besides that, Trevor Knight, no thank you. We have our daily, our weekly, daily. Hey, by the way, Trevor Knight still sucks on Google Hangouts message back and forth every single day. It seems like that guy cannot take advantage of a matchup for anything. Bryce Petty. If you had the money, you got to think Bryce Petty would be worth the 34K, don't you?
No doubt. I think he's worth it. I just don't know what you're going to do for the rest of your lineup.
Yeah.
Unless you punt the other quarterback position, like go Blake Bell or something.
Or Seth Russell. Seth Russell's always like high priced on DraftKings.
And he's 5K here, so I mean, I don't know if it gets that out of hand for him to get in the game, but Blake Bell might get a few targets anyway.
Yeah, and he's 5.2K. Yeah, I think that's the guy you would punt. I don't think you punt. I don't think punting's the play. I was just curious if you thought he would. I think that matchup's great for him.
Right. But 34. If he were like 28, 29, I might, shell out that money. But 34, that's a lot.
That's a lot, man. And I haven't. I mean, unless it's like I was gonna say Taysom Hill back in the day, but even then, like, it's just so hard to put together a lineup after doing that.
Yeah.
Let me ask this question of you, Chad Voidick. I've been reading all about. Obviously I know Virginia Tech's defense. I've watched years and years of it. The style, how they play on defense is a very play up close, put 8 to 9 in the box. I've read that they might even go 9 in the box to stop James Conner, and just put Kendall Fuller on an island with with Tyler Boyd, and I guess Monte Garner is the other receiver, correct?
Yeah.
Put those guys on an island and just say, hey, you know what, we're not going to let Conner beat you. So my question is this, and this will lead us to running backs here. What do you think about that defensive style? Is there any way Voitic takes advantage of it? Because it didn't work for them against East Carolina, the whole putting them in an island. You saw a guy named Cam Worthy go for 3 touchdowns and 200 yards out of nowhere.
Right.
You think there's a chance that that Voitic has a good day for 14K?
Here's the thing, East Carolina is really good. Let's not take away from East Carolina. I mean, and their style of offense, they can spread it around 4 or 5 different receivers. But Pitt, Voitic hasn't even thrown for 1,000 yards yet, and it's these 6 games in. So I don't see him doing that to Virginia Tech. I don't see him throwing for 250 or 300 yards in Virginia Tech. He might luck up and get, Tyler Boyd for like a 30-yard touchdown, but other than that, I don't think he's a smart play.
Man, I think I'm going to regret saying this, but I think that he's like my fourth quarterback.
Ugh, God.
I mean, who would you go? Who are you going? You go Trickett number 1. You
Right.
go Brewer 2 or 3. You go Jake Waters 2 or 3. Who's that fourth guy? It's not.
I'd probably roll Brown.
You think you'd take the risk against an Iowa defense? Iowa defense that's really not like.
They're not terrible, but C.J. Brown he's a pretty good playmaker. I mean,
he's an awesome playmaker.
I mean, it'd be hard for me to pick Voidick, and maybe I'm just a little upset because he didn't pan out for me in Dynasty. Like, I made this trade for Voidick, and he's done nothing. So maybe I'm just a little.
No, I'm with you. I mean, for me, it's a toss-up because I see obviously the potential in C.J. Brown. He's an unbelievable player. We both know that. I mean, the ability that he has to make plays with Stephon Diggs out there helping him out. He runs it so much.
He's having a down year. I get it. I mean, he didn't have a good game against Ohio State, but at the same time, like,
kind of hurt. Iowa's defense is pretty darn good. I think it's a.
Well, I think. Did you get muted? Can you hear me? Because I can't hear you. Awesome. I can't hear you. Well, if you can hear me, I guess. Voidick, I guess, isn't terrible, but I wouldn't roll him. I'd take the shot on Brown. Can't hear you. I can't hear you. I'm sorry. He's just a bitch. Nope. I can't hear you. Got it. Well, all right then. Having technical difficulties, I guess. Let's see. Wait for him to come back. All right. See if maybe it's something on my end. But I don't think it is.